All right, here we are again with better lighting this time, I hope. Continuing on, I did do some homework, which is good. Yeah. Found what some of things are, still questioning on others, but that's fine. Progress is progress. I thought I labeled that one, but I guess not. All right, we'll label it now. All right, so gonna label the few things that I know about. This one down here, we did discover last time I was out here that this is the pedal sensor, or drive-by-wire pedal, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. All right, there's also this fun 9-pin here. It's a 10 position connector, but there's 9 pins in it. That is for the transmission speed selector. Some funny name for Honda saying that's how the ECU knows what gear the transmission's in. All right, and then some of these other ones are probably power relays, I think, but some of them are probably also, like, because also on this branch with that 9-pin from the transmission, is some other connectors, and I made a note of it. Let's see what we got here. The backup light switch. So that makes sense, right? Because you've got basically a reverse sensor on the transmission output. Should be yellow and green-white. Ooh. It's just gonna be 2, so it's not that. I don't see any just yellow. I think in here there's just yellow. But is it near a green with white? Yeah, there's a green with white in here. Tough to say. I'm gonna hold off on worrying too much about that. Don't know what that is off the top of my head. It's okay, it's okay. This one's got me really curious. I'll trace some wires of where this all goes, but I just find it curious that they've got this like kind of bulkhead looking connector that just kind of deadheads up against this cluster here. This gets bolted to the back side of the engine, between the, like, above the transmission, and this just kind of sits there, hanging out, doing who knows what. I mean, this side doesn't come off. I'm curious. What happens if we pull this out? What's under here, I wonder. So it's literally just bridging connectors together. So this has a bunch of yellow and black and a bunch of black with white. And this has 2 different kind of bus bars, so to speak. Got it? That kind of connect all of them together. Yellow with yellow and black with black. And the other side, I've got 3 different groups. Group of black and yellow, a group of yellow with blue, and a group with brown with yellow. So literally just acting as a coupler, so to speak. I don't know that I'm gonna want to keep that design. Let's see if I can figure out what you are real quick though. This one that's twisted together here is red, white. Yeah, red, white, and green, yellow. I don't know. Still not sure about that one. All right. I do know that this one I'm worried about here at the end, that looks like a broken clip. It's the transmission control, no, sorry. Engine mount control solenoid. Because yes, the TSX has a active engine mount. Isn't that cool? Isn't that just what all race cars need? No, I mean, it sounds like a neat feature, but it's not really relevant to me at all. So, go like that, go like this. All right. I'll worry about the rest of that later. Let's see. If it's a 3-wire, I should be able to figure out what this one is. We've got yellow, red, black, red, green, white. Oh, it's not black. It's green, green, red. Yellow, red, green, white. Map sensor. Which I don't need. The Megasquirt unit I have, like many Megasquirt units, have an internal map sensor. And there's a vacuum line that comes directly out of the ECU case. So you just run a vacuum line to your ECU and you get a map sensor that way. I don't know that that's the best design. It kind of feels like going backwards these days, but I mean, it works. Sorry if the boiler's kind of loud. I'm in my basement. Granted, if I was outside, it'd be the chickens and the dog and yeah. I think I'm gonna need a new VTEC solenoid because that's the connector to it. Oh well. Remind me of that later. Okay, so somebody tell me what this thing is. Just a random loop of wires here at the end of the coils. This is on the front of the engine. Let me look at some pictures real quick. This is weird. Yeah, it's right here in this picture of a different engine. No call out as to what the heck it is. It looks like they're trying to make an antenna of sorts or something. That's so weird. Maybe it's for the elusive 5-cylinder K series. 3 of you out there that are now Googling. You're welcome. Leave that on for now. All right, everything there is labeled. That's all labeled. So I got a few that aren't. So the wires down at the crank sensor, very oily. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us, well, obviously we've got an oil leak. And the general state of all of this means that there's some oil vapors in the engine bay for something. Could be maybe a leaky PCV oil line, and maybe could just be leaky valve cover gaskets. The engine's kind of messy, but not that messy. But the amount of oil down there at the crankcase sensor tells me that there's potentially a small leak at the harmonic balancer. Kind of like the front crank seal there, or oil pan, which could also be right there as well. So fully expect that leak to come back after we clean the engine, after we've got the engine running and we're putting it in for the final time. Quick note on that, me and maybe a few other people out there in the world are of the opinion that many people do finish work way too early. It's really sad watching guys or gals paint an engine bay just to realize that they've got to do more welding, or that they bang it up doing something else in the engine bay, and they're not driving the car for another 6 months or more. The way I see it, drive the thing, sort out bugs and gremlins, then pull things back apart for final assembly. Final assembly shouldn't happen before first drive. So that's also part of why you haven't seen me wash, clean anything yet, because that's irrelevant. For all I know, I'm gonna go start the engine and find out I've got no compression in a cylinder, or low compression, or who knows what. Even if it was a known good motor, don't count your eggs before they hatch. Well, it looks like that one that was twisted together, drum roll, is the ECT sensor, engine coolant temperature. That's confusing to me because there's another sensor right there that I thought was the engine coolant temperature. So now I gotta go trace that one and figure out where that one goes. What the heck is the PCS? I'm just gonna have to check the factory service manual. I don't have the factory service manual available right here, which is kind of stupid of me, but it's easy to get at from my desktop. So for the time being, what we'll do here, I'm going to roll you back down. This one we determined is the engine coolant temperature. So CLT is what I normally use for that. Coolant, CLT. ECT is kind of, I mean, I get it. If you have a dry sensor that's right on the cylinder head, CH, LT, or coolant head, TS, CHTS, cylinder head temperature sensor. But yeah, anyway. And then this guy. I'm just gonna mark it PCS, whatever the heck that is. I don't think I'm gonna end up needing it, but I wanna know what it is. It might be something PCV related. It looks like there's a box over in that area of the engine that has vacuum lines running in and out of it, and there might be a sensor on that, and that might be what this goes to. All right, so what I haven't seen is intake air temperature, which might technically be on the throttle body sensor, wherever that ran off to, here somewhere, throttle body. This might have a intake air temperature integrated into it. And I really don't think the alternator is 5 wires, but there's 5 wires that come, well, 4 that come off of here. And then there's an extra red wire. I don't know what those are. You really need 4 wires coming off your alternator? It seems kind of excessive, but maybe. Because normally you have at least minimum, usually there's a 12 volt excite for like powering the field windings. And then you've got a load, and then also sometimes like the load is, you excite the field winding, but then it needs a load. You send that load back to your bulb in the dash, and that acts as a load, which also gives you a low voltage light by default. And then there's usually also on a externally regulated or externally controllable alternator, you also have like a pulse width modulated input to tell it how much you want. And I wonder if there's a 4th wire is like some type of like a sensor for like you have it like commanded versus result, maybe like an actual sensor in there. I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. What I do find interesting is that coming back off of the alternator wiring, it ties into some shielding wiring that's going to the throttle body sensor. So there's this wire here that has an outer jacket. It's a shielded cable. And then the shielding's coming off and then going over here to the alternator to protect the alternator, one of the wires for the alternator from noise, which is interesting, but sure, okay. Anyway, what I think I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna do something that is inevitable eventually. There's no way I'm reusing any of these connectors, so I'd say this hurts me more than you, but probably not. Somebody out there is gonna cry. It's okay. Gotta be careful when you're pulling on these. Boy, you can make a mess real quick. So just because there's these splices for shared splice, you know, shared various spots of the loom, various spots of it, you know, they just kind of go both directions. So just pull slowly, gently, and work your way around. But like here, I've got all these grounds that are brought in together, and a bunch of them have been cut already. I'm probably gonna end up redoing a bunch of these grounds, so just make them a little bit cleaner for now. Just flush cut them here at the junction. And I have a little bit less mess to work with as I unravel this. Main shaft speed sensor, aka VSS1. I had that written somewhere else. Where is that? Oh, there it is. All right. Well, I guess I can get rid of the map sensor, can't I? Since we discussed I don't need it. All right, one left. And then I've removed everything that I don't need. And of course, my video stops recording right as I'm trying to wrap up what I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm done for the night. I think I have half as much on the table, half as much on the ground as I have on the table. We've done a really good job here. I think it's perfectly fine for the next phase of the process. We need to add a few circuits, but I'm feeling pretty good about being able to get this harness now into a usable state. Everything that's here is in good enough condition for me to work with and is labeled accordingly. I can go back and finalize the pinout down the road. I need to finalize my drawing for my actual schematic, which probably might be one of the next steps in this process before I go adding the circuits I need. But we're getting there. We're making good progress. So yeah, as always, keep jamming.